You want to say that louder with your whole chest because, my God, that was a 2-second Google search. Wow. Yeah. Not having cops protect us is really going to put us at risk. Have a day.
떠오르는 단어를 말씀해 주세요. 페미니스트, 정신병.
This is in Korea, like marriage matchmaking services where people go and you pay a broker and you submit all this information about yourself, your income, your assets, your family background, if you have any debt, like which university you went to, you submit all that information and then they take that and then they will try to match you up with people who they think that you're on par with. So, you know how you see in K-dramas, how like the poor girl ends up marrying the richest CEO of Korea? Yeah, in reality, that never happens. So people go to these marriage services and they're heavily used. There are literally so many in the country because everyone is using them. And so the 4B movement in Korea is a very, very small fraction of the whole Korean population in general. It's just the Western media likes to highlight that part and make it seem like it's the biggest issue in Korea, which it really is not. I can promise you that. Don't believe all those sensational articles written online all the time. Most people in Korea still like the other sex. We want to date, we want to find love, we want to get married. Those are like the big majority. And it's only the small group of extreme radical misandrists and extreme radical misogynists. They just seem like the loudest because the most attention goes to them.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. So y'all just, y'all always think, what's she on now? What's she on now? And it's like, sometimes I just, I feel like, okay, what are y'all on? Like, what data are you, like, what are you guys using to make your decisions? And it honestly, it confuses me. And other people are like confused because I am saying these things that are factual. And I'm confused at why they're confused when the things that I'm saying are factual. They're literally factual, right? So here we have the number of newborns in Korea. So again, I've said this, right? This has been going on for years. So we're just now choosing to highlight it, put a spotlight on it because it continues to get worse and worse, y'all. That's why these males are getting desperate. This is the real reason why. This is the real reason why. 2011, 1.4 birth rate, number of newborns in South Korea, right? 2021, we're now at 0.81. What did I tell you? This is why they're getting desperate. This is why these males are getting violent. So all of those people saying, well, I think it's just internet talk. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the numbers do not support that statement. You are delusional. And that's okay that you're delusional, because the longer you stay delusional, the worse these numbers will get. Because you're not addressing the issue. You're not wanting to be in discomfort, right? You're not wanting to believe that what's happening is actually happening. And so the more you try to fight against that, the more you try to ignore it, the worse it gets, because nothing is being done to fix it. Let's take a look at the other birth rate numbers. Let me see if I can find birth rate numbers for Asia in general, and then the US as well, because they are all plummeting. Okay, they're plummeting. And you know, I don't come on here saying things without data and facts. That's not how we roll. By the way, don't listen to Hollywood music. It is nuts over there. And all the males are gay, by the way, over there. So side disclaimer. Honestly, I really don't understand this issue of calling women names, aka example on my screen, just because they're choosing themselves. Just because they're choosing to not have children, they're choosing to stay to themselves. Now all of a sudden you're calling them misandrous, a hater of males. Like, what are we talking about? You can't even how can you be a misandrous in the middle of a patriarchy built specifically for males and for their success, to ensure their success? How can that be? It doesn't even make sense, right? And then the stupidity that comes out of this idiot's mouth, like, I cannot deal. Like, can you imagine, right? Telling me, oh no, most of us, we love it, and your birth rate is at 0.80. It takes 2.1 to replenish, right? To continue to replenish. Your birth rate is at 0.80, and you just got done telling me that you literally hire services to see if you can find a male that's worthwhile matching with, which means you're not choosing any of the males that are around you. But yeah, you're not 4B though. You're not 4B though. Like, what is she talking about? Like, use your brain. Like, are you like, what? This stuff irritates me when people don't use their brain, right? Like, because maybe they don't have one and they sit here doing the exact same thing that's being described, right? But don't want to put that particular label on it because they think, I don't know what they're thinking, even though their behaviors, the exact same thing. Well, I want to get married. I want to find a match. Yet you're 29, worried about all of these labels that males try to use to control women. Like, for example, aging out of the marriageable, whatever. Like, what is aging out going to do for you if you get hooked to a male that does nothing for you? And you know that, which is why you're still not married. So if you want to say like, well, I would get married. It's just that I don't see, and I have not seen any males that makes sense for me to procreate with from a financial standpoint, from any other standpoint, then that's fine. But then understand that it's the same concept that you're describing, whether you want to put yourself in that label or not. It's the same concept, which is that 4B movement concept, right? And whether or not you want to link it to feminists or extremists or whatever the case may be, it really doesn't matter because you're literally doing the same thing. Unless you're telling me that you're going around sleeping with every male that's walking the streets while you're waiting to see if you can find a good match for yourself, unless you want to tell me that, then you know what I mean? Then what are you doing? You're not sleeping with males, right? Or do you go around sleeping with every male that you see in the midst of this waiting to see if you find a good fit? So it just drives me crazy when people like this speak and they don't even have a brain. It's like, okay, you're not using your brain. We're not connecting the dots, right? Because this is a prime example of someone that is worried more about fitting in and worried more about male approval than they are about their own well-being, than they are about their own species well-being. Let's see what other people have to say about this. This is what I had to say, right? I was like, ma'am, use your brain. Regardless of what label you slap on it, it's the same time/concept. You're choosing to not marry a male who brings nothing to the table, aka 4B. yeah, you wouldn't have to search that hard if that wasn't the case. Like, what the heck? Girl, there's a reason you and your friends haven't been picked. Misandry is not real and never will be because males cannot be oppressed systematically. This is a patriarchy. Understand the reality of things. Like, this is the reality. That's why we're seeing the numbers that we're seeing. We don't even have to go based off of, oh, women are choosing this. This is what women are saying. You have a 0.80 and it continues to decline. Y'all, it's not increasing. It's actually declining. It's not even plateauing. The birth rate is declining. Because there's so many things and factors to consider if you're going to have children, right? Like, do you want to continue to have children just to continue to be poorer and poorer and struggle more and more? There's a financial aspect, security aspect, protection aspect, loyalty aspect. These are all things that you yourself are looking for as well. And you have not found. See, so it's like, do you think women are just like crazy out here, like saying, oh, I'm just going to abstain? They're saying I'm abstaining for a reason because there's just the choices aren't there. So what am I going to go around just sleeping with everything that walks? Because males can't evolve and refuse to evolve? No, I'm not. I'm just going to pay attention to myself and do what I got to do. So it does, you know what I mean? So that's crazy. The 4B movement isn't misandry. It's saying, yeah, we are going to stay single rather than being with males who do not respect us. Period. It's very, very simple. It's like we don't have to hate males for that. And we don't have to hate males to speak the reality and the truth of what's happening, right? Quite frankly, I don't hate males. I feel like they are dangerous and terrifying. They scare me because they're just predators. They're predators, and what goes on in their head to them is normal. But then when you hear it, especially as a woman, you're like, you did what to that underage girl? What did you do to her again? You're going around New York slapping women for no reason. Like, and that's funny. They are just a scary species. And I feel like they don't bring anything positive to the table. They're just like violent. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like most women, I don't believe, hate males. They just don't want to be around them. They're not a good species to be around, right? Calling that misandry is hilarious. Yeah, okay. Oh, ew. The second that you brought out misandry and liking certain comments, I know what you are exactly. And these have thousands of likes. I just posted mine 10 minutes ago. Oh, sorry. I just posted mine 10 minutes ago. But these other ones, 2 days, over 1,000 likes, 4 days, almost 3K. Thousands of likes from women. Like, what are you smoking? This is someone else from Korea because her whole thing is like, I live in Korea. looking stupid and sounding dumb. Look, I'm Korean, living in Korea currently, and I know what the 4B movement is. Korean women who are not interested in feminism don't know what the 4B movement is. Yeah, she could give two craps about other women. She's desperate for male approval and has no idea what the 4B movement is, but yet, because she lives in Korea, thinks that she can actually define it accurately or describe it. You live there, you don't even know the concept, you don't even know what it means. And yet, that's where you live. You don't even understand that you're a part of it, whether you like it or not, regardless of whether you want to put the label on it or not. If you're not a part of it, go ahead, step out of your house or wherever you live, right? And the first homeless male you come across, take him and go marry him. Then I'll know you're for real. Okay? All right, fantastic. So y'all, like, the women ate her up. She had like 2 comments and that was it. Like, what? The desperacy. How can you be 29 and still so clueless?
The fact that you have the ability to live on your own and have your own apartment is a huge deal. The fact that you have the option to not get married and not have children is a huge fucking deal. I don't think you realize how much women would have killed to have these options in the past. They did not have the option. Okay. And the reason why so many people have these shitty ass fathers is because women had to choose somebody because they had no options with their lives besides being a mother and a wife. And if you had a less than ideal mother, the odds are she didn't fucking want to be a mother. She just felt like that's what she had to do. She could have had dreams and aspirations that went beyond being a mother and a wife. But since that is what society told her, it's all she could do. That's what she did. And a lot of women are resentful over that. Women were not allowed to have their own bank accounts until 1974. I don't think you realize how recent all of these developments are. We are on the brink. We are on the breaking point of things looking totally different in the next 10, 20 years than they have throughout the entirety of humanity. Do not take that for granted. This is not the time to split hairs. This is the time to march the fuck forward. This is the time to decenter men and focus on your own life. You have that opportunity now. We never had that opportunity before. It is a blessing. So if you don't have a boyfriend or husband or whatever, and you feel like you're behind in life because you don't, I'm telling you, it is a blessing. Don't settle. If you find this perfect, amazing man, then that's wonderful. Hold these men to a high fucking standard if they're going to be in your life, because you do not need them. You do not have to have them. And if you pick the wrong one, it'll not only hold you back, but it'll hold generations back.
We have the power to make morons go extinct like dinosaurs. The morons here are just creating mediocrity. They are creating harm to Mother Earth, disrespecting the planets, and they are cancer to the planet. We don't need that, okay? We can live without mediocrity. We can live without the morons, okay? And if you're continuing to procreate with morons, you're just making little morons. We don't need that, Sugarfoot. Y'all acting like pregnancy is not a high risk as a woman. Especially a black woman. You can possibly die from childbirth. And you out here going half on a baby with a moron that hasn't even bought you a ring or signed paperwork to commit their life to you? How silly. But you thinking, oh, he gonna stay because he loved me. He is just talking. It's all talk, no bite. You need to let people be about that action. You need to see paperwork. You need to see funds in the bank account. You need to quit being on this fantasy and just being all in la land as a woman and just thinking that love is sex or love is attention. Love is respect. Does this motherfucker respect you or not? If he respects you, he will put his life on the line and sign some paperwork for you. If he not willing to do that, don't have no baby with no modern day bum.
Hola, mis amores, ¿cómo están? Hi, my loves, how are you doing today? So, y'all, I've been seeing this topic come up more and more lately on the 4B movement. So we're going to talk about it today. What is the 4B movement? Why are the males so upset? Why are they so scared? And what is really going on? Now, the 4B movement, believe it or not, has been around for years, right? So I don't know. I guess it's just now picking up steam here in the United States, but the 4B movement started in Korea and it's been going on for a really, really long time. It's been going on for years and years. And it's something that more and more women are getting on board with just because of how extreme it is when it comes to dealing with males, right? So when it comes to dealing with males, we all know by now that there really isn't any benefit. I always say, if he can't pay all the bills, then you really are just kind of wasting your time, because what else are you getting from that dynamic? Nothing. Now, we're in a time where, because women can work for themselves, and usually 99.9% of the time women are more hardworking, it also doesn't really make sense to be with a male just because he's going to pay bills, because in return you will have to give up who you are most of the time, right? Because they'll want that complete dominance and control over you. So it ends up not really making sense. Now, this 4B movement is the talk of the town, but let's go ahead and see what other people have to say about this, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
I'm so glad you asked. The 4B movement is a movement in South Korea right now where the misogyny and sexism is so bad that South Korean women have decided to opt out of dealing with men entirely. That is not a joke. That is not an exaggeration. They are not dating men. They are not marrying men. They are not having children with men. They're not even sleeping with men anymore. And it's called the 4B movement because the Korean words for those four things all start with the letter B. This kind of first started happening around 2016 when Kim Ji-young, born 1982, a novel came out. And it is a fictional book about a Korean every woman and all of the misogyny and sexism that she's experienced from literally being a child all the way to her being an adult, suffering with postpartum depression after having her child. Now, this book became a runaway bestseller among South Korean women because they were like, she's just like me for real. And that's kind of when it started cooking, right? Now, the movement officially got its name in 2019, and it's just been going ever since. It's so successful, in fact, that now South Korea has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. The number of deaths in South Korea outnumber the number of births in South Korea. And it's hilarious because all the men and the government are like, oh my God, what do we do? They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to date us. What do we do? Everything's in shambles. We don't know what to do. When South Korean women have been very clear from day one, they're like, hey, either you get your act together or we are literally eliminating all of this. We are shutting it down. So that's the 4B movement and why I'm so obsessed with it and why I think we should have the 4B movement everywhere. Thanks for listening.
So this is very, very important. This is a very important point, y'all. So it is actually drastically, it's so bad. The birth rate in Korea is so bad. So I'll give you numbers. It's 0.80. In order for them to replenish at a rate that's enough to replenish their dusty species, right? They're supposed to be at 2.1. Last time I checked, they're supposed to be at a replenishment rate of 2.1, which is just about at least 2 kids per family. And not only that, there have to be enough marriages to support that, because in Asian culture, the marriage has to be there before the kids come. Usually, that's just what they prioritize most of the time. And so what's been happening is their birth rate has been falling so low that they are currently at 0.80. They're not having kids over there. They're literally going extinct. It is really bad in Korea. Okay. The childbirth rate is so bad in Korea, but also in just the Asian, countries overall. It's extremely bad in China, and it keeps getting worse. And China had that, one child per family law, rule, whatever you want to call it, for several years. And so what all the families started doing, where they started, literally unaliving women children because of the way the patriarchy is built and how it only favors males. So the families would unalive women children. They literally started having centers and medical centers pop up specifically designated for unaliving kiddos. So that way they could pick the gender of the kiddo, and most of them were picking males. And so now there is 30% more males available there than there are women. So they don't have any women. So, and their birth rate, I think their birth rate is at it's like a 1.3, somewhere around there. So, that whole segment has been going down for years and years and years. And most women most women are just choosing not to deal with the male species because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's dangerous. They are rude. They're mean. They're not helpful. They want to be controlling of you, but then they don't even contribute anything. They literally don't contribute anything positive to your life, right? So this has been going on for years and years and years. You could even say that here in the US, us women here in the US, we're kind of late to the party. It's like, where have you guys been, you know? And so even women that don't identify with the 4B movement, so women that will say, well, I don't know, I'm not really a part of any movement, right? But you hear them follow that up with, I just don't really date males because I have to work all the time. And because, things are just too expensive. So it doesn't make sense to bring a family into this, right? All of the ideologies that, if you want to slap a label on it would be, 4B movement. So most women are just not interacting with males, period. Despite whether or not they've heard about the label, they're just not. Why? Because it's just not in their best interest. It doesn't even make sense. It's at a point where it literally doesn't make sense. And it's been there for a while. It's just now that I guess it's getting more and more prominent. And so people are talking about it more and more, particularly the males. They're freaking out. Okay. But let's get back to these videos. All right.
We're not going to talk about how feminism is led by misandry, like the 4B movement. Is that not of the devil? Like, it's literally evil. These women are talking about how they're not going to date men, sleep with men, procreate with men, and all these other things, right? And it's like, wow, like, what are you going to do? Feminism is...
Like, I keep telling y'all, the male species, are they not like the dumbest? It's like, I don't know how they made it here. I don't understand. What kind of question is that? What are you going to do? We're not going to interact with males and we're just going to live the rest of our lives. We're just going to live life. I don't understand your question. What do you mean? like they literally, I don't know. Like they think that they are the world. You know what I'm saying? And this is proof. And I keep trying to tell you ladies, like they're very confused and they're having a rude awakening. It's unfortunate for them. They're having a rude awakening because the truth will continue to be the truth regardless, right? Regardless of what you wish were the truth or the lies that you've been fed, right? So if you've been fed lies all this whole time saying that you are the world and you're a woman's reason for existing, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, but no women want me, right? And I keep going after women that don't want me and they don't want me. I don't understand this. Well, you'll be forced to wake up. You don't have a choice. You really don't have a choice because you now have a dissonance between the lies you've been told and reality. And this is what happens when there's a dissonance. You see how confused he sounds? He's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. But it doesn't matter if you don't understand because that's not going to stop what's happening. It's happening, period. So it really doesn't matter if you don't understand, right? You're just going to stay in that confused state of being and confused state of mind. And so this is a prime example of that. And then I want to point out how he said, this 4B movement is the same thing as women hating males. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay. And then he went into defining the 4B movement, which is women choosing to not sleep with males, women choosing to not have children, women choosing to essentially just look out for themselves and take care of themselves. So you see, if you ladies, this is what I'm pointing out to you. If you are not sacrificing the entirety of your life and being controlled by a male, they will start telling you, oh, you hate me. That's why you're not being a doormat. You hate me. That's why you want to be treated like a human being. It's because you hate me, right? They'll start saying those things to you. You see, this is the reality that males live in. This is the reality they live in, right? And they just don't view women as human beings. They don't view women as anything. They don't view women as anything, right? So this is a prime example of that. And again, they will tell us, they tell on themselves. And this isn't new. This isn't like a movement that we just woke up today. It's just that, we've been doing this for years now, especially as males continue to get worse and worse, more and more women are staying away from males, right? We didn't just wake up today and all of a sudden it's more women that are homeowners, right? Look it up, the percentage wise, there aren't really any male homeowners. All the homes are being owned and currently owned by women. Right? It didn't just happen in one day. It's just that now it's, I guess, maybe making more noise. Maybe the males are just becoming extremely more desperate. They're just becoming more desperate, more uncomfortable. And now women are forming communities online after being bashed by the red pill and all of these ingrates for years. Now women are just starting, because we have distanced them for years. Now we're starting to build our own communities online, our own groups online. So these males are just now joining the party. It's like, y'all are late. You're late. And not only are you late, you're late coming to the party with no substance. You're even worse than you were before, right? So let's keep going.
That is the lack of provision and protection. So we'll see who tires out faster. Will it be the women because they won't receive
Protection from who? Protection from who? That's what I fucking want you to answer. Because the only answer you can give is protection from men. So you are threatening to withhold
what minimum protections men have offered from other men, wow. My God, people should really think this whole movement thing. And women love to go to work, and we love to pay for our own shit. And honestly, do you know how happy women are going to be when they aren't popping out your fucking children to take care of anymore? Like, bro. And if we do decide to have children, because we can do that without your asses, the community we will build to aid each other, enjoy.
The 4B movement is going to force men to be red pill. It doesn't matter if it's single.
Whew, that was more than a millennial pause. That was a Gen X pause or something. Anyway, these XY chromosomes are so dense that they're not understanding that women in the 4B movement have zero interest in y'all. So you cannot threaten them with consequences of what men are going to do, what they're going to act like, what counter movement they're going to come up with. The whole point of this movement is they want nothing to do with y'all. And yet I keep seeing all these salty men making videos like, oh, men are gonna go red pill. Oh, men are gonna do a 4G movement. Men are gonna be more toxic. They don't care. The point of the 4B movement is to get away from you all and have nothing to do with you. Therefore, you cannot threaten these women with any sort of consequence. In fact, all of these consequences that y'all are coming up with, saying that you won't want to deal with women either, you're gonna be like this, you're gonna be toxic, that is good news to them because you're further justifying their willingness to be in this kind of movement. And then you are creating even more distance between them and yourself, which is exactly the point of the movement. Just admit that y'all are salty and y'all are crushed because you thought that women were going to put up with the BS that you put us through, the abuse, the manipulation, the gaslighting, and not do anything about it. And now that women are coming together and wanting to actually do something, y'all are throwing a hissy fit and now trying to scrape your brains for any little consequence to punish the ladies. You can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. You're just going to have to sow your bitter seeds in a field somewhere and watch them grow.
If you don't start to comply, we will start selling you on the market like cattle. We have all the guns. Don't forget that. Okay. I know that guys are inherently slower than women are. I mean, sorry, but it is what it is. Okay. So I'm going to help you out here. What you don't comprehend is that women have been living in fear of men from birth. Okay, so these threats, this means absolutely nothing to me. Okay, what's happening is you're angry because you're lonely. Things are not going the way you thought they would. You thought it would just be easy for you and you would coast through life and get everything you want. And that's not happening. That's not happening. And where you are is at a fork in the road, guys. Okay, so you have two choices. A, you can continue down the path that you're on and behaving the way that you do, and then you will legit die alone. Okay, your biggest fear, you will die alone. Okay, nobody will be by your side. Or the option I recommend is to go to therapy, work on yourself, become better human beings, and then hope like hell a woman picks you one day, okay? Because the tables have turned. You don't understand that we do not need you anymore. We do not care. You serve very little purpose, okay? You're not providers. You're certainly not protectors. I mean, you're making threats against us right there. So you can't protect us. You're a threat to us. And you're not providing anything financially or otherwise. You're not even nice. You guys are at a fork in the road. Choose wisely, okay? May the odds forever be in your favor. Good luck. Good luck.
Men can't believe that women are single by choice because men aren't single by choice.
If you saw this video on your For You page, you already knew I was coming. This is the reason why it will never bother me when men are in my comments saying women are lying. They don't want to be alone. They're going to die miserable and lonely and just lead terrible lives without a man in it. Guys, this is going to be a really big word for you, okay? But are you ready, men? It's called projection. Now, it's a big one, so I'll put the spelling down in the caption, but y'all can Google it and then just sit with it. Sit with it.
movement is it always comes from women that look more masculine than the men that they're talking about. First of all, every woman I've personally seen partaking in or talking about the 4B movement, bad bitches. 10s all across the board. No bitch left behind. They're all hot. Second of all, it's funny because this particular brand or flavor of woman always loves to talk down on the girls that aren't perceived as like traditionally feminine or have tattoos or piercings, blah, blah, blah. But I guarantee you, if we go through your boyfriend's or husband's porn search history, goth girl, alt girl, e-girl, tattooed.
Do I agree with the 4B movement in theory? Yes. But do I have a problem with the 4B movement? Yes.
These types are getting increasingly disturbing because of the fact that they don't evolve from keeping it real. I think women have always been aware of the very real and present danger that they face when they try to tell a man no. They have lived with that their entire lives. What's the next step? Okay, now we have the 4B movement, which is not trying to answer the question of how to fix men, it's trying to figure out how to fix the system. Because even women who do have a desire to be married and to have children are participating in the movement because of the fact that they can't afford childcare costs, that they can't afford to feed children. And the women who are left to be in those relationships don't want to be in them because of the fact that they may be subject to some level of abuse and violence. And when we move from seeing it as an individual male problem and as a systemic problem, then we can see that the movement is meant to give women access to humanity. Because it really doesn't matter if good men exist in bad systems. And women don't want to give life and live into a system that pays the price through their personhood.
So the men are starting a 4G movement.
For the love of God, please do it. Please, I had to come out and get some sun for this because honestly, this only tells me two things. Number one, we can't have shit. Like we can't have a single fucking thing, right? And yes, the 4B movement was started by Korean women. We understand that. But when it made its way over to the West, American women started participating in that. A lot of us at that. Hell, there were women over here who were already doing the 4B movement for years without even knowing what the fuck it was, right? So there's that. And number two, this is what we wanted all along. This is the whole reason why we, as women, a lot of us as women are participating in the 4B movement anyway. We simply, at this moment, just want y'all to leave us the fuck alone. Like this movement alone have brought out all kinds of crazy reaction from these red pill men. Like when it comes to the 4B movement, there are so many responses and reactions from these red pill men, such as men going on the comment section of women's posts who are talking about the 4B movement and leaving threatening comments. Men going around punching women in the face. And now y'all are creating a movement that's called the 4G movement. Come on, at least come up with a different name, bruh. The 4G movement. But you know what? This is good because this is going to weed out all of the red pill men who believe screaming behind a microphone is the solution to getting women, right? Like if you want to withhold your seed from us, that's perfectly fine with us. That's what we wanted. Just to simply leave us alone. And yes, there are going to be some pick-me's out there that are going to like, you know, be completely against the 4G movement or the 4B movement. Who cares? But that's okay because what people don't understand about pick-me women is that they never get picked. As a matter of fact, those are the least desirable ones to these type of men. But it's okay. Like I said, to be real with you, I support the 4G movement. I support it wholeheartedly. I just wish you picked a name that sounded a lot different from the 4B movement, but you know, I support it. Seriously, do it. Do it.
Recently, I saw a lot of video regarding to the 4B movement in Korea. If you don't know what is a 4B movement, so basically it means some Korean women in Korea just decide not to interact with men. So they chose not to dating men, sleeping with men, marry men, or having kids with them as well. And those 4 actions in Korea all start with the letter B. That's why it's called the 4B movement. All I want to say is good for them. This is not a bad thing at all. Due to misogyny and sexism in the Korea, a lot of Korean women are just fed up and decide they're not gonna center their life with men. They're gonna focus on themselves, which basically just a lifestyle choice. However, a lot of people are criticized for the Korean women engaged with 4B movement in Korea. And that is something I don't understand. Like, why? Why you criticize them for their own lifestyle choices? Like, we have single by choice and child-free people all over this world. Every country has them. I mean, it's not a crime. It's just a life choice. As a woman, not even a Korean woman, a Chinese woman, I can understand and relate with those women in Korea. Because misogyny and sexism are really bad. If you are not a woman in those situations, you probably never understand. You know what sounds funny to me is that a lot of men who try to criticize Korean women with this movement are saying that they're the reason who ruined Korea. It's like, if you guys and the government can treat those women fair and square and maybe provide more benefit and equal between the men and women, those Korean women will want to interact with men again. How can you blame a country situation based on just some women's life choices? It's not fair. And to be honestly, in the future, 4B movement probably will be worldwide. As someone who is married and plans to have kids, I don't think anything wrong with this movement.
Okay, so there you have it. You know, it's just insane to think about the fact that males insist on harassing women that are choosing to basically mind our own business, right? It's like there's more than enough. And this is a concept that's been blowing my mind more and more recently, just as the more these males insist on harassing women that don't want anything to do with them. It's like, if someone doesn't want anything to do with you, stay away, please. Go away, please. And it blows my mind because it's like there's more than enough pick-me-shas out there. It's like there has to be more than enough pick-me-shas that will entertain the BS, right? And allow you to just run all over them without even thinking twice about it. So what's the problem? Why are you harassing us? Now, I will say also that for all the comments as far as, well, you know, it's not that big of an issue. It's just an internet issue. I heard a lot of people say it's just on the internet. It's just on the internet. Well, the numbers are not backing up that statement, ma'am, sir, whoever you are. The birth rate numbers are not backing up your statement that it's just on the internet. Okay. Like in Korea, like I said, 0.80 birth rate. Look it up. Right. Actually, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Right. Let me see. 1 second. Okay. So here we have the birth rates and the deaths in Japan. Look at those birth rates. And look where it's at. 0.8. So it's in the 0.8 range, between that 0.8 and 0.9, which is what I've been telling y'all, right? Plummeting. 2004 all the way to 2020 is this data, while their deaths continue to increase. This is the real reason why they are starting to harass women more and more, trying to police our bodies. We see some state laws trying to say that you can't abort. You know, this is really what's going on. They're going extinct. They're going extinct. As they should. As they should. What is the purpose if you're going to come here and you're not even going to protect planet Earth? What's the purpose of your being? What is the purpose of your being if you're not going to protect the planet? I don't understand. If you're going to be violent, if you're going to continue to assume women, continue to assume children, continue to harass them, what is the purpose of your being? And if the whole human race has to go extinct, then so be it. So be it. Because before we even got here, before someone birthed you, not even someone, a woman, because it's only a woman that can do that, period. Right? So you can go be gay if you want to. It's not going to save you from being extinct. It's just, you're just going to amplify the rate at which your extinction is going with all those diseases that you're going to pass around from each other to each other, right? All these gay males, all those diseases in Hollywood, ask them. They know all about that. You're just going to die off faster. That's it. That's it. It's fine. Just stay away from us. Don't be coming over here lying about what you are and then getting our species infected with that because you're a liar. Because you're subpar. And then you want women to give birth to and procreate at that caliber, at that subpar caliber. I don't think so. I don't think so. Before the women gave birth to you in the first place, we were all like stars somewhere, dust somewhere, So it's fine. It's fine. If you return to that, it's fine. Stop bringing people here just for them to suffer. Bringing women here just for them to suffer. I can't even imagine if I were to get pregnant and it's a woman. Then what am I going to, how am I going to explain that to my daughter, my kiddo, that I knowingly brought her into this BS from wherever she was floating in? For what? To do what? Let's take a look at one more. I want to take a look at the birth rates in the US. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I found several graphs. I wanted to pick the one that was going to be the easiest to read, and I think this is the closest I found to that. But overall, the birth rates in the United States have been dropping as well. However, the United States has a critical component that most of Asia does not really have, which is immigration. They have immigration, right? They have more immigrants than a lot of other Asian countries that come here and live here, and that helps the United States when it comes to their birth rate and their overall population as well. Okay. But nonetheless, it's still been dropping. It's still been dropping. The United States is at about, I believe, maybe around that 1.8%. And remember, we talked about the replenishment rate being a minimum of 2.1 to keep it at where it's at. Now, I personally think there's too many people on planet Earth anyway. So what's the problem, right? There's so many of them. There's so many human species already. It's overpopulated. There is an overpopulation problem, right? So I don't understand why we should continue to replenish at that rate, knowing that we already have an overpopulation problem. But I digress, right? So here we can kind of see the chart, right? So 1999, they were at like a 2.0. Now more recently, 2017, we went all the way down to 1.76, right? Here, we continue to be at 1.7, 2019, 2020, we are, I thought we were still at 1.8, but we're not. So 2020, we are at 1.6%. We're at a 1.6% replenishment rate. So it's actually lower than I thought. Sorry, you guys. I hate to be the bearer of, challenging news, but to me, it's not challenging news. To me, it's good news because the world has always had, well, not always, but for a long time has had a problem where it's just overpopulated. There's too many people. There's too many people here. There's too many humans. And I say that, I mean, even if I wasn't here, I'd be somewhere in the clouds, flying. So I'd be fine. Right. But I'm here and I could clearly see like, okay, there's a problem with overpopulation here. Right. So 2020, we're now at 1.6%. Right. The average rate for repopulation is around 2.1, I believe. Right. So let me pull up the stats on that too. Alrighty. So, actually, just so you guys know, I didn't really plan on pulling up the stats and data for this particular video. I listen to stats and data, and that's what my brain prefers. And so when I listen for content, when I do research, I'm looking for the numbers and what the data says. But I do that because that's what I personally am interested in. So that's how I know these numbers. That's why I know them. But to actually look them up myself, even more for the purposes of the video, I mean, it's even more glaring, right? So anyway, so here we have yet another article on how, this is titled, How Low Can America's Birth Rate Go Before It's a Problem? So here we have it, right? It says the total fertility rate, the average number of children a woman is expected to have over her lifetime, now sits at 1.64 children per woman. Remember, we just looked at that chart and that's exactly what it said. It said 1.6. So even more verification as to the validity of that data, even though the data we just looked at comes directly from like the US website, right? So it's at 1.64 children per woman in the United States. Not only is this the lowest rate recorded since the government began tracking these statistics in the 1930s, but it's well below the so-called replacement level fertility of 2.1, Remember, I kept saying, y'all, we're supposed to be at 2.1. That's why they keep freaking out. Supposedly, but who says we're supposed to be at 2.1, right? That's why I keep saying, like, to me, this is not an issue. There's always been a problem with human beings overpopulating, tainting, and ruining things that they come in contact with, okay? And that includes overpopulating Earth with their dusty species, right? Where there's just too many of them, right? Now, if we were to be able to get rid of all males, I think that would actually be a net positive for planet Earth, because then the women could focus on taking care of planet Earth instead and actually adding more nourishment to planet Earth instead, right? But nonetheless, 2.1, that's the so-called replenishment rate. So these dusty species are so scared of going extinct. Meanwhile, I don't understand why they're scared of going extinct. It's like they're not adding any value here. They're not doing anything here. All they spend their time doing is insulting women, abusing children, abusing women, hitting women randomly on the streets. What are you? You're not doing anything here. You serve no purpose. Why are you worried of going extinct when you literally, your whole existence serves no purpose? Help me answer that. The latter number is what social scientists and policymakers have long regarded as the rate a country should maintain to keep population numbers stable. I'm sorry. I don't know why that just made me laugh. What does it mean to keep population stable? Population rate stable for what? For who? Keep it stable for who? Okay. So you don't want to tell what you're trying not to say, but you're saying, without saying it directly, is that you want to make sure that the rich keep getting richer. And in order to do that, you need a bunch of poor people working for the rich to continue to get richer. Because otherwise, for who? Stable for who? To do what? We have to ask ourselves these questions, right? Like, let's be logical. Let's literally use our brains, right? When the fertility rate falls below replenishment level, the population grows older and shrinks, which can now slow down economic growth and strain government budgets. So all you delusional ladies that are still left out there, okay, that's what your kiddos are. The reason they want you birthing more of them is because they want them working. They need workers. Okay. All right. Let's wake up today. Today's babies are tomorrow's workers and taxpayers. Okay. They'll not only staff the hospitals and nursing homes will use in old age, but also sustain the economy by funding our pensions when we retire, paying the taxes and financing Social Security, Medicare, and many other government programs that we'll rely on, and buying the homes and stocks we invested in to build our savings. Well, looks like we're going to have to find another way now, won't we? But recently, some experts have questioned whether we ought to be so concerned about low fertility. There's nothing really magical about replacement level fertility, said Eric Stransing, a professor of demography and sustainable development at the University of Vienna. There are ways to overcome the challenge of low fertility, and it'll take an investment in the people who have been born already. Right. So, just have to find other ways, because it really doesn't make any sense, and I guess that's why AI is coming more and more into play, which I'm in full support of, because I'm a small business owner myself, and it's terrible trying to work with people and human beings. You start to see the true nature of human beings, or a lot of human beings, and you start to just see how lazy they are, how hard it is to get anything done. And then I think of myself too, when I was working for other people, and I just hated working for other people. Even me, myself, I hated it. So it just starts to become like this process of like, let's find another way, because overpopulating the earth with dusty species, I mean, what's that going to do? And relying on human beings to do what they're supposed to do when no one's looking, I'm not placing my bet there either. Okay. And I'm not saying that being judgy. Even me, like, if it's like, oh, I want that cereal, no one's looking, like, should I get the cereal or should I not get the cereal? Right. It takes self-discipline. It takes self-discipline and self-awareness. Every day I have to put in the effort to not grab that cereal, because I don't want to be 1,000,000 pounds. Right. So it takes self-discipline, and most people just don't have that. They don't have enough of it. Right. So AI is coming into play. All these other things are coming into play. And these dusty males need to get with the program that their species are going extinct, and as they should. Stop insulting women. Stop harassing us. Leave us alone. There's more than enough pick-me-shies out there for you. Go find them. Okay. And hope and pray that they choose you. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Make sure to smash that subscribe button for me. Make sure to smash that like button for me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.